Hi and welcome to another episode of the Getting Things Done podcast from Whitehall Learning. I am Morten Drøvik and I am here as always with my super duper very good friend and colleague Lars Rothskild Hendriksen. Привет, Lars.
Привет, super duper great colleague, friend, Morten. Good to see you as always, and as always, good to be with our listeners and viewers out there. Quite a lot of viewers these days on YouTube, so hi to everyone out there. We always start off with a quick reminder of the purpose of this podcast, which is to help you learn GTD or become even better GTDers. We hope that today's episode supports you in that. If you are new to GTD, we recommend you go back and listen to the audio versions of episodes 1 through 6 to get an introduction to the basics of GTD. That's where we cover the 5 steps. Today's episode number is 104, and today's topic is checklists. We wanted to get back to that. And before we dive into that, I just wanted to quickly mention the GTD summer camp that is coming up. We're seeing more and more people signing up for that, gtdsummercamp.com for more information. So great to see so many people from across the world signing up. And the reason I wanted to mention this just before we get started is that we are looking now to have a session with a test of a GTD board game. So just to, show how cool GTDers are, one of the Danish trainers is actually working on a GTD board game, and he will test it out at the GTD summer camp. So learning GTD and playing around with that, sort of a game of life kind of thing, and unexpected events, and it's just so cool. So I had to mention that right as we started now. gtdsummercamp.com, June 15 to 16, 2024 in Denmark. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that and all the other fun stuff that we will be doing.
Me too. It's always good fun and a lot of very nice people. GTDers are the nicest people, so everyone who goes there is, they want the best for you and for helping each other become better GTDers. So if you haven't done it yet, gtdsummercamp.com. Be there or be square or something.
as the hip kids say.
The hip kids said 20 years ago. I'm sure there's another something now. I feel like an old fart. So, okay. And by the way, for those of you who are not listening to this but viewing, you will observe that there's something new with Lars today. So if you're listening, and we are not going to tell you what is new with Lars, but if you you must go to my YouTube channel for see that. Search for Morten Drøvik GTD and you will find my channel. You can look what's different with Lars. So now 2 plugs done. Okay, good. Today's episode title we dubbed checklists. And this is something that we both have been dabbled with for some time. I don't know if I've been doing this the longest of us, but I shared at some point a checklist with you that I created to some of my coaching clients. And we are going today to walk you through the best practices of a daily checklist. Why is it necessary and how does it work and what should be on it? So is that a good bird's-eye overview of the daily checklist, Lars?
Yeah, I think so. I think, overall we've talked about checklists a number of times. I did a quick search through the show notes, and we've covered that in 6 different episodes over the years that we have done this podcast for Christmas checklists or any sort of packing checklist before your holiday or things that you do on a recurring basis. But specifically the GTD, sort of the daily checklists was something that we wanted to talk a bit more about. It's something that's come up quite a bit for me in the last 12 months that I have been sharing the list that I stole from you from way back in the day that you've shared with coaching clients. So I shared that with other GTDers and they thought, oh, wow, that's really cool. And they hadn't really come across that. So wanted to do a quick episode on that and share that with everyone out there. And hopefully that'll improve their GTD practice. I know at least for me, especially in the last 6 months, where I've been refining sort of my own checklist for this sort of a daily purpose checklist. It's been really, really, really helpful. So hopefully it will for you as well.
Hopefully. So I just want to take the trip on, out on the outer rims. So why on earth would such a list be beneficial? And especially for new GTDers or GTDers who want to get the GTD routines to stick and establish the habits you need to establish to create a routine after a while. It is a very good tool for that, and it helps you as a daily checklist to both remind you that getting things done exists and that you're committed to yourself to get good at it. And secondly, it creates an overview of the best practices, so you don't forget that they exist at all. And so I don't know. Should we just then try to look at the items that might want to stay on such a list?
I think maybe your list would be a good starting point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've created. This is just I'm going to share from orally what I've written down because it's in Norwegian, this list. So, but I will translate how it could look. And remember, if you take notes from this episode, make sure that you are thinking this thought, having this thought with you, is that I have to adapt this. Don't copy it, just adapt it to your needs. So I've divided this into 3 headlines during weekday daily checklist. Is the first headline is when I arrive at work, and then second is when I have some available time at the office, home, or when traveling. And that is execute. And before I leave the office or before I leave work. So the 3 headlines: when I arrive work, when I have available time at work, home, or traveling, or when I leave work. So do you have anything to add to that? Do you have something you've discovered that is outside?
No, this? I think those are really the main starting point for me was as well the one that you wrote out back in the day. My own personal one. I think we can perhaps go on to that one afterwards because it's structured a bit differently.
Yeah. Okay. So the thinking here is, if you go to the first headline, so when I arrive at work, the reason you should have a checklist, and I'm going to say something that might feel like heresy to some people. Say I would suggest that you make it on paper. That white thing that comes out of a printer, and I'm going to do just a little tell you why I think that is a good idea. The first reason why is I think that such a checklist, if it is on paper, it becomes distraction free. If you have it somewhere else on your computer and you're doing a physical activity and go into your computer and then suddenly see an email or something that distracts you, you fall out of the sequential process of a checklist. So making it to paper, printing it, and what I've suggested for quite a few clients who said come back to me said it was revolutionary for them. Yes, revolutionary. Was that they printed it and they take a clear, transparent plastic cover that they then, where you can, I don't know what you call that in English, where you can put a piece of printed paper inside. So it's, both sides.
Yeah, laminated, I guess.
No, it's not laminated. Well, if you want to be really environmentally friendly, you can laminate it and then just write with a whiteboard marker and then clean it every day. But the idea is that you have a few, maybe 3, 4, maybe for 1 week, if you're going to be at your workplace every day that week, to have 5 sheets of paper inside that plastic folder that you then tape to your desk, and then so it doesn't move. So every day you come to the office, the first thing you will do is to take out one fresh piece of paper with your checklist, and then put it on top of that plastic folder thingy on your desk. And the first thing is to, when I arrive office, the first check mark is take out one fresh checklist. And that's, you can tick it off when you get it off. This might be silly, but for some people this really makes a difference. Because if you take it out and you can tick something off, it's like, I am doing stuff. You know, I'm succeeding. I'm moving forward. Yeah. So that would be the first thing I would suggest. You know, making it on paper. But when you arrive office, one of the things, and I think we can then just discuss this in the, you know, what would you suggest? What would be viable things that you put there? But the first thing what we do when I coach people is that they will always get what we call a read in folder, which is just a paper folder where you can put paper inside. That's called inbox, and this is your travel inbox. So if you traveled somewhere, this will live in your bag, and you will then put paper-based items inside there that you want to do something about later. And then you just, when you arrive at the office, the second thing you do after checking off, yes, I've taken a fresh one out and put it on top, is that you put that in your inbox, what's inside that in folder in your physical in tray. And then secondly would be, if you have a diary or some written notes somewhere, put it in the inbox. Like when I'm out traveling, I have a Remarkable tablet for taking notes, and I put that in my inbox. That would be my second. Do you have anything else you would like to add to this?
No, I can just echo that really corresponds with what I would be doing. It really varies how much physical stuff shows up in my world, but I just did that yesterday when I came back to the office. I'd done my reference system cleaning that I think we mentioned in an episode before Christmas. Sort of a yearly habit for me and many other GTDers is to do this yearly clean out of your reference systems, and a lot of stuff came out. I don't need that Lotus Notes setup guide anymore. I don't think. I doubt I will need it. So that was trashed. I moved some things from home to the work reference system. There was a Surface Pen that I use for the Windows laptop that I have here, and that was at home. It made more sense for me to have that at work, so I put that in the in folder, and then it made its way to the office here. So that works really well for me as well. Don't do any sort of remarkable things, but I use the Notes app on Mac and iPhone and all that. So that will be sort of my I have a Notes inbox that I would then go and check. So yeah, very much aligns with my own practice as well.
Good. And the idea behind starting with this is just start with something either physical or digital that makes quick wins are good. And then, if you empty a read in or you put something physically somewhere, it's kind of like, I'm doing something physically and I can tick things off. So give yourself a lot of quick wins. That's a good idea. So the third or fourth thing on my list here would be look at my calendar this week, next week, or as many weeks in the future you think you should, get an overview. The idea there is to look at the hard landscape as the first thing you do in the morning. A lot of people that I know, that I've been coaching, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Lars, have the first thing they open in the morning, or maybe even the first thing they open after they open their eyes is the calendar. Sorry, is the email. Yeah. So
exactly.
Which is not the best practice. And I wanted, I don't think we have really addressed this, but to see email as the first thing you do in the morning or the first thing you do in your office is not productive. It is not. The reason being is that you will then be pulled into the latest and loudest instead of, getting the overview. You need to make good decisions. So if you start in the hard landscape like your calendar and then look at your lists, then email would be the third thing maybe, and then clarify and organize emails into your system. The reason why I'm being very I'm being overly clear on this topic, is because I know by personal experience that I remember one time I was on my way to an early meeting with a client, and I stupidly opened my email when I was just before I got into my car. And that whole car ride was full of that email that where some client was not happy. It was not a reasonable unhappy, but he or she, to be neutral, was not happy with how we handled the situation. And that totally killed my meeting with that client, because it was inside my head. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't resolve anything, but that feeling was in my brain. And it ruined my meeting. So don't do that. Don't read emails when you don't have to. Read emails when you can clarify and organize them. And I know, Lars, you have been email snacking before. Tell us how you got out of that. Tell us how you got out of that habit.
But I can recognize that exact story, and I've done that. It was many years ago, but that's when it occurred to me that in a break in a seminar that I was delivering. You see so many participants, they will bring out their phones and they will look at whatever Facebook emails, whatever they might be looking at. And I did some of the same, I think, during a lunch break. And there was an email somewhat similar to what you described, I think. And it just stuck with me, and it just distracted me from being present. And again, the whole point of doing GTD is trying to stay present with whatever you're doing. And yeah, that obviously did not support me in that. So that was a lesson learned back then. That one I have stuck with. Email snacking could perhaps sometimes still happen in a sort of a daily scenario where I don't have any meetings or anything coming up. But certainly in those, especially in coaching scenarios or in seminar scenarios or whatever, when I want to be extra sure that I'm not thrown off course with an email that I did not need to see at that time, I'm very very aware of that.
Okay, so we do both agree and highly recommend you do not read emails when you don't have to read emails. And don't start the morning with reading emails. So when you are first in the office, look at the calendar this week, next week, maybe the week after, if it feels good for you, and get an overview. And when you have that overview, you understand, well, everything is on hunky-dory and I'm on route and I am on plan for doing what I wanted to do. Maybe you should then try and do the following, which is look your next actions list that are relevant. And with relevant, I mean, like if you are in the office, you have an office list, that's a relevant list. If you have an PC list where all your PC work for work is, then look at that list. And make sure that you are looking at this and with the perspective that if I have some time today, based on the calendar I have, what would I like to happen? So the way I used this is when I go through my next actions on my at office and at Mac list, I look at what is relevant, and then I star it so that it's and I don't start a lot of things, but just if I just do this thing today, it's a way to bring it to my attention. So when if I have a meeting or a coaching or something, then I have some time, I know that if I can this is the most important thing I can do after that or during the day. So just a way to bring the most important things to, so you don't have to make that decision when you're tired after a meeting, for example. That's my idea. So anything to add to that?
No, that sounds very familiar. I don't really look that far in the calendar on a sort of morning basis, but that is indeed the first things on my checklist is to check. So what do I actually have in the calendar for today? Any day-specific actions or specific meetings that are coming up that I have not yet prepared for, so I can focus on those first.
The reason I'm saying that it might be this week, next week, is because a lot of people Don't do the checklist every morning. They forget. So just a reminder that you should look into the future. Yes. But to have the idea that get an overview for as long-term overview you need to feel good about your work and life. So whatever makes you feel calm and good inside, the good feeling of overview and control, then go as far into the future. You need to get that. Yeah. Okay, so then the last item here is on my when I arrive work list is clarify and organize email and all my inboxes to 0, which is sequential and hard work, but it is you will feel overview and control after. Well, a lot of the people that at least I know, I'm sure there's some few sequentials out there that really feel this is easy, but for the majority of my clients who are high associative, not highly sequential, this is a highly sequential thing to clarify and organize, and all of them, and I mean 100% of my coaching clients do, even if they are on the sequential side, they need to spend time on getting good at clarifying and organizing. I had a coaching client today, this morning, and we went through his lists, and he's a very diligent coaching client. He's a really good student of getting things done, but he is still not there after 10 sessions to be good at clarifying and organizing. There are still some unclear things that are not clear next actions on his list. So just beware. Clarify and organize is going to do really good things. And when you go to your list and look at them, you will say, I can do that. And then do it and tick it off instead of going, huh? Which is often something that happens. People look at their list and they go, what did I think here? This is not finished. The thinking here is not finished. So clarifying, organizing, thinking, finished for email inboxes. Anything to add, Lars?
Yes, no. So the one thing that I have tweaked on my list, or my daily checklist, was to list out the different inboxes that I want to maintain.
Yeah.
I think that is actually where my checklist started, because I had forgotten an inbox that I was using, and suddenly, there were quite a lot of things in there. It was my Memos app that I had removed. So I play around with my setup all the time and use the Memos app quite a bit. At sometimes, when I'm driving a lot for seminars or coaching, then I would throw a lot of stuff in that Memos app. But then that had sort of drifted off my radar. And then, I needed to have that list now. So I have my 5 inboxes that I will check off if I feel the need. So I think for me, this is more of a, after I have checked the calendar, I have actually written out a question for myself. Do you want to deal with inboxes, or do you want to go for the day specific stuff that I have in my list manager? So if I choose to go for the inboxes, then I have the Notes app, the Reminders app, the Memos app, Mail, and Physical Inbox. So those are the 5 inboxes that I want to stay on top of. And then I can check them off as I go through these. Yes. And it's, again, like you said, it's those simple wins. It looks really, it feels, even though it was empty when I started. Notes is empty. Reminders. And I'll take that win every day, assuming there's nothing in there, of course. Otherwise, I would clarify and organize.
Yeah, me too. And so if you want to use Lars's idea, which I think is a good one, is that to list your different inboxes. It could be under the item clarify and organize email inboxes to 0. You can make a indent and have the checkboxes for those inboxes, or whatever is relevant for you. So anything else to when I arrive at work?
No, I think that's the starting point to revisit the list and the inboxes. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so moving on, when I have some spare time, or where I'm not in meetings, I want to work a little. So when I have some spare time at work, home, or when traveling, and we talk about executing to do things. This is the 5th step of the methodology, where you want to you have 30 minutes. What do you do? And these are a checklist here is a little. You could use it for everything every item you look at. But if you want to build the habit of getting things done, to choose what to do in the moment could be difficult if you haven't done that already. So if you haven't star marked something, if you haven't done something, and you have your lists, how do you choose from them? So the way I've structured this is 4 points here for tick boxes. Look at the at list that I have. So my next actions list. That where I am. So if I'm in my car, traveling somewhere, look at my phone list, for instance, or my errands list. If I'm in a hotel room, and I have my PC and I have internet, which is, often you have, even though the hotel don't have. You are online, then I can look at my Mac list instead. I'm not at the office, so the Mac would be the proper list to look. Maybe at my phone list if I have something like that. So check the next action list that is relevant. And then when I look at that and I see, well, I can do these 3-4 things, then the next thing you need to do is assess how much time I have on my hand to do this. So if you have half an hour, what could fit into that time frame? So I have these things I can potentially do. How much time do I have at my disposal to do them? And then clear off the things that you're not doing. And then thirdly, assess my mental energy level. Are you at high energy or low energy? Make sure that you don't try and do Einstein stuff when you're more like a pudding. Your brain is mush, and don't choose something that requires high mental energy. And then lastly, what will give me max payoff to do right now? So of the things that is less, if you have 2, 3, 4, 5 things left, I don't know how many you will have, but then what after you considered where you are, what you're at, how much time you have, what's my mental energy level, and then ask yourself what will give me max payoff to do now. And it is the way to choose. It helps you choose what you need to do. And please note, people who are not very well versed in getting things done, that the payoff is also priority, and priority actually comes after you assessed your mental energy level. Which is a little, because a lot of people say, I have to do this really difficult thing, but I don't have my brain. So what am I doing here? Yes, I'm trying to solve a problem which I can't solve because I'm mush, and that's not very good. That's not very intelligent decision making. So. Yeah.
But that always comes up, and that I'm sure it does in Norway and anywhere in the world. It's always an interesting perspective for people to apply the limiting criteria as opposed to what do I actually have to get done, and how do we actually then figure out a way to do this in the most productive way.
Yeah, because this is the way out of latest and loudest. The way to choose and feel good about what you've chosen to do. You will consider the priorities and what will give you maximum payoff to do right now. What's the priority here? But you will not do that by latest and loudest. You do it after you clarify and organize things into your lists, so you get an overview of everything you could have do now. But then you pick one. And you will feel good about your decision, and you will be able to do the whole thing here. So anything else to add to the execute do?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. And again, for those who are familiar with GTD, the limiting criteria is the starting point here. For me, I will have some day-specific reminders that I will also need to pay attention to and balance in all of this, both coming from the Reminders app and from from our CRM system as well. And I think that was also one of the key reminders for me to go in there and check. I disconnected. There was a calendar integration. I disconnected that because it wasn't working well with my calendar. And then I forgot to go in there and check. So I had to put that on the list as well to make sure to go in there and deal with the day-specific reminders that I had scheduled for myself in there.
Okay, good. So moving on to the third headline is before I leave work. That I have 2 items there. I'm going to add one at each end of this before we leave this topic. Is the first thing here is look at the calendar this week, next week. Get an overview. Make sure that you are doing the right things. So you feel that, okay, I can leave the office. There is no meetings that is going to kill me. There is, tomorrow and the day after or on the third day, maybe I feel comfortable. I don't have something that will mug me in my free time. And do clarify and organize emails and all my inboxes to 0. And then you can then just, as we did in the clarify and organize, is to have that sub list of which inboxes you want to tick off.
Yeah.
Anything to add to this?
No, I think that makes sense, and I recognize as well. I don't explicitly have that on my own personal checklist, but I do recognize both with checking the calendar, what's coming up next in the coming days, and also with the date-specific reminders that I have in my reminders application, what is coming up tomorrow, and not just looking at the number of things that are waiting for me, but just quickly scanning through what have I thought at some point was a good idea for me to do or consider doing in the next day. That's really helpful for me because sometimes I can look at that number and I will have many date-specific reminders, perhaps too many for some people, but I think for me it works well. But I do need to consider them and revisit them. And for example, today I had 13 reminders, and for some people that might be a lot, but they were gone in 20 minutes, I think, because they were just sort of quick things to check off, quick emails to ship out, and great way to start the day with 13 check boxes already done. And now it's playtime. What do I want to do?
Getting things done. Succeeding with life and work. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, assuming that those were the right things on the list, but let's assume that.
but if you've done your horizons of focus, you know what your purpose of life is, and what your values and your principles are. What is your vision for the optimum life you would like to live, and then use that to decide what goes into your system. What do I say yes to? What do I say no to? And then if you then review that before you go home, you can go home and feel, yes, I've done the things I should today, and I know that tomorrow will be a good day. And that is why we are getting things done, is to feel good about life and the universe and all the commitments we give to ourselves and the other expect us to commit on. So. The last part I would like to add, and I would like to add that at the end and at the beginning. We didn't do that when arriving at the office. I would suggest that you do a mind sweep. A mind sweep is the grab a pen or paper or open your inbox in your list tool and just see, have I missed something? Is there anything I can remember I've been thinking of that I didn't write down? And then suddenly, oh yeah, then and this and who and all of these things that I got a message in the hallway between after lunch on route for my office. Somebody asked me about something and I didn't write that down. Just write it down. And I remember suddenly the door handle on the car is a little loose. I need to do something about that door handle car. Just get it out of your head, so that when you go home to be with your family, you will feel good about not doing what you're not doing at work. You feel, okay, I'm nothing dragging on my attention. So, and doing that as the first thing you do in the morning, or as when I arrive the office, I would suggest that you do that. Maybe not the first thing, but one of the first things after, just to do that. And then David Allen Company has some checklist you can buy if you go to the gettingthingsdone.com and find the store. There's this PDF you can buy where you have I don't know what's that called in English again. It's lokke frem løse tråder på norsk.
The trigger list. Yeah.
Trigger list. Yes. What has your attention personally and professionally? It's half a letter size times 2, so it's one for professional, one side for professional, one side for personal. It's just a way to remember what you have forgotten. It's a way to lure those things to the surface. So, and it has some headlines and some items there. It will help you both establish the habit of capturing everything that has your attention, doing the mind sweep, but it is also a way to pull out all the details. Like, okay, I have systems. Do I have decorations? Oh, I've forgotten something about that. Or business cards. Do we still use that? Should I use a digital one? No, that's an idea I had, but it was just in the back of my head. I didn't write it down. So just use that as a way to get everything out of your head. And the reason, again, why you would consider creating such a checklist and creating it, and I would suggest you have two options. Of course, one, you can keep it in your list manager or note manager, someplace where you want to take them off. Or if you do them on paper, that doesn't really matter, even though if paper is a lot more physical, tactical, it's not tactical. What do you call that?
Tactile.
Tactile. Thank you. And it is physically something outside of your computer, outside your digital world, that reminds you that you want to do this. That I'm a big fan of that, at least as a starter, so you can get to establish this as I get into the office. I'm tired. I have a cup of coffee. I go. I plug my computer in, and I see my checklist. I should not go emails now. Well, let me follow my checklist, and I feel good. I can take things off as done.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, for me, it comes back to exactly what you said. That it helps me feel calm and trust that I'm working on the right things at the right time. That's really what it helps me do. So I don't have to come up with all the ideas. What could I be doing? What should I be doing? Smart Lars made a list, and I'm gonna, take that as my starting point and work from that.
So Lars, your checklist is digital. Why is it like that, and how does it look? You wanted to lift the skirt and show us what's under.
We have the physical version of the checklist is actually printed at home. My wife got a hold of it and really appreciated it. So she printed it and put it next to the computer at home. So she uses that. For my checklist, like you said, it's digital. So I have set it up in Apple Notes. And the way I have made it easily accessible is to have a widget that simply just points to that note. So it's always visible for me. It's always just one click away to find that daily checklist, and it also helps me keep a hold of that habit of actually using that checklist. So that is the digital equivalent of what you described, and having that printed and putting it on the desk. It's a widget for me right in my face here, with just a few others. So I will naturally be drawn to that. Some people I've come across where they have made digital lists that they have. Could perhaps set it up as a template and have that sort of that they create a new one every day, so they could sort of track their progress and how they use it. For me, I have not personally found that neat, but that's of course one way to do it as well, to just create a new one every day that you want to start using one. But for me, I just start off the day by unchecking everything and then checking it off if they're already done and getting that win that we spoke about.
And if you're doing this in Apple Notes, you can right-click or you can go in the menu and then uncheck everything. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a shortcut for if you have a long list.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm using that because I use Apple Notes as my weekly review checklist. So that's one of the features I use all the time, or at least one.
I had not seen that. Yeah, it is right there.
Yeah.
And select everything. Well, I've completed most of my inbox already today, so I just want to double check that memo that we spoke about. So I won't do it right now, but perhaps tomorrow.
No. Okay, good. So the only thing I would like to, we talked about, make sure that things is in your face, like checking your calendar. One of the things that I can add as a bonus tip here that I have, that I'm loving, I've been having this for maybe, 2, maybe 3 years, is that I have a small little Mac utility, small app, that the only thing that it does, it takes the calendar that I choose to include and put it on my desktop background as a sidebar. And this side, I have a monitor that's big enough so that I don't have to have, everything is not, I don't have to cover everything there. And so I can see it while we're recording. I can just look what's the next thing that comes up for me, so I don't forget things. Because I'm very easily distracted. I think we both are. So we really need getting things done to make sure we get the things we want to done. We want to done.
Yeah, no, I've switched actually just to take that quick rabbit hole. I used to have that as a widget. I don't anymore because the latest version of iOS, when it's hanging on my MagSafe, it switches to that where I see the time and I see the next calendar appointment. So that's where I have that now. Otherwise, okay. I would have it as a widget or part of the screen.
Yeah. If you are on a Mac and would like to have a look at this, it's called Wallcal, WALLCAL, and it's part of the Setup suite, but it's also, I think, a standalone app you can buy or subscribe to. And for me, that works well. Okay, I think we've exhausted our topic of today, and as we always do we have anything to say? Yes, we have. And does it take time? Yes, it does. So we are now at I think 40 minutes or something. Are you happy with what we've covered? Do you have something you would like to say to end this off?
I think we're ready to wrap up. Hopefully this was helpful. Again, this was personally really helpful for me to have a good daily checklist. And it takes time. It's the companionship, but it also takes time to run through all of this. A lot of tiny details that I'm sure the skilled GTDers out there will recognize and hopefully can tweak and make use of in their own GTD practice. So hopefully today's episode helped with that. Yeah. And then, as the usual reminder, we already talked about the GTD Summer Camp, but it does not hurt to mention it once again. GTD Summer Camp 2024, really excited about it. Still, participants from Norway and Sweden just signed up yesterday. We have from different places in Europe, North America, South America, Asia too, as we already mentioned. Really hope to see you there. June 15 to 16 in Denmark once again. Learn more at gtdsummercamp.com.
Yeah. And before we leave that topic, please note that we are doing this as a gift to the society of GTDers in the world. We do not make money on this. We are doing this at cost. And so it's just a way to hang out with people who think getting things done is a good idea and would like to get better at it. So be there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also, go to gtdsummercamp.com, but also to vitallearning.eu, because that is where you will find all of the cool things that we do on a day-to-day basis that involves GTD, but also the other offerings within Crucial Conversations for Mastering Dialogue, etc. Go over there, have a look. A lot of interesting things, really important skills to learn. You can find your way to the different country websites, learn more in your own native language, and as always, you can reach out to Morten and me if you have any questions at all. If you are outside the Nordics, head on over to cruciallearning.com to find your local partners.
And if you would like to be coached by Lars and me, or get some education from us in any way and sort and form, and you're in the Nordic region, contact Lars or me directly, or you can just use podcast@vitallearning.dk, and we both read that email. If you're in the US or outside of the Nordic region, look at the gettingthingsdone.com page for the rest of the world. And if you're in the US and Canada, go to gtdfocus.com for coaching in that region. Okay, at the end again. Okay. Okay. And I didn't. Now Siri just woke up and said, "Thank you, Siri. I didn't talk to you. That's good." And as I do at the end of every show, I would like to remind you that you need to stay safe and stay productive. And until next time, bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.